We are live, The Pulse, episode 7 with special guest Todd Hutchings in the building. Todd, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Good to have you on here, man. Derek, co-host, how are you doing?
What's going on, man? I'm excited for this week. Excited to have Todd Hutchings on the show. One of the most knowledgeable people ever. This guy's taught me a ton over time. So eventually, hopefully, I can use that info to whoop his ass one day. But until that happens, I am a fan, and I'll always be a fan no matter what.
There you go. Don't share too much on this episode, Hutchings. It'll come back to hurt you. But yeah, we got a good one tonight. All the other times I say that, I don't mean it. This time I mean it. So the way this works, we're gonna look over. Derek and I help run the Reddit page, which is basically a community forum where you make a post, and if it's good, it gets upvoted. If it's bad, it gets downvoted. So we're gonna look at some of the more upvoted posts and get Todd's insight. But we also have a bit of an AMA or Ask Me Anything going here. And we're going to send some question Todd's way from our community members on the Reddit page. So without further ado, let's get into it here. So the first questions are from user Minhale, a fellow moderator. And he asks, what would the Hutchings-Bowen match have looked like had you not gotten injured and had to pull out? Were you expecting a close match, or was this an easy payday for you, Todd?
I'm always nervous going in, but I figured I was pretty confident I had to have been like a 1,000-to-1 favorite or something.
Yeah.
But I get nervous before every match, and the pre-match hype always bothers me some. But I expected him to try to top roll, and I've beat top rollers that are better than him, so I was pretty confident.
Yeah. If you can take down Irakli, it shouldn't be an issue. Speaking of East versus West, Minhale also asked if you could have slow hooked Prudnik in a strap. Do you think anything would have changed? In other words, do you think there was a big strength gap there, or was it mostly speed / technique? What were your closing thoughts on that match?
I think Prudnik's hands just levels above mine.
Yeah.
If you ever pull somebody whose hand just completely dominates you, it just disconnects you. So
yeah.
His thumb's real short, his fingers are long, and I felt engulfed in his hand like I do when I pull Dave Chafee or even John Brzezinski. I just feel like their hand is everywhere.
Yeah.
He has that club thumb, right? He has one of those club thumbs, a little mini thumb.
Yeah, it's real. And another guy who's got a short thumb is Corey West.
Yeah.
And he was like 400 or 500 pounds when I pulled him, and it still was like, man, I got to grip this guy low.
Awesome. CM011 asks, when are we going to get the stash back, Todd? That's the only important question in this whole thread, really.
Huh. I will take that under advisement. I'm not sure.
Okay. There you go.
CM011. Why did you stop rocking the stash? I mean, what
it was mostly work related, I think,
Gotcha.
Because I'm a highfalutin engineer here. I can't be going around looking like some hippie, like craft beer drinking hippie.
Craft beer drinking. I think there was a beer question in here somewhere too.
There is a beer question. I'm not sure if we should ask it though. All right, it's coming up. Well, all right, next up, a real person 1495 says or asked, what is his favorite? He asked a lot of questions. The first one is, what is your favorite part of arm wrestling? The game day, the training, the table time, just the progress, the work.
The prepping for a match. I love the 3 to 4 months away from a match.
Yeah.
I like researching it, laying out how I'm going to do my training, how I'm going to do my table time, the practicing. I love that part of it.
Cool.
The last couple of weeks, I'm a nervous wreck. And I like making the aftermatch videos. So there's like 4 hours after the match I truly enjoy, but there's 3 months leading up to it I like most.
Right. Those hotel room videos, man. Classic. Derek, how about you? What's your favorite part?
I think seeing progress while training. I love actually seeing things move forward because of Todd, I actually write my numbers down and stuff like that. Something I learned a long time ago. So actually seeing that move forward and building that confidence, and even if it doesn't always go your way, but just building, feeling like a better and better man each day and more like you're reaching towards this goal. I like that feeling. I feels good. So probably the same thing, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right. The progress, the feeling of getting closer to a goal, and also, yeah, practice for me. I mean, it's my social life on top of my fitness life. So good stuff. One more from a real person, 1495. Who are your favorite arm wrestlers? And answer wisely here, Hutchings. They're listening.
Oh, my favorite, of course. I mean, everybody mentions John, and he helped me out a bunch. And the folks that got me started early on, I really, really enjoyed. So, Team South Carolina, Team Utah, Bob Brown, and those guys. But my favorite arm wrestlers for those competing would probably be Gabby. I like the way Gabby pulls. I like her attitude. I like how she just thoroughly enjoys it, even though, she's at the top of her game right now, or at the top of the game, maybe at the top of hers. So she's probably one of my favorite pullers.
Right.
Let's see. Who else is out there just thoroughly enjoying themselves?
Gabby can really send it to the side. Has she ever asked you about that, or have you ever advised her there, or did she kind of develop that side pressure on her own?
I think when you're the shortest person in your weight class, I think you come about that instinctively, or you don't win, so you're either in the loser's bracket or you learn to pull like that.
Yeah, fair enough. Awesome. And this next question, who taught you the most? Who are some of your favorite? You kind of answered that. So IDLH asks, Toddzilla, do you believe that if others wholeheartedly took Westside barbell training, inclusive of the JM press, that they could achieve similar levels of side pressure dominance, or do you feel that your specific frame and recovery ability was already superior for the task? So basically, is it genetic or is it just straight up hard work?
I don't have any genetics that predispose me towards arm wrestling. I'm short for my weight class. My arms aren't particularly wide. If people followed the Westside the Westside barbell strategy is fairly easy to grasp. What's hard is honestly assessing your abilities and to not bicep curl and bench press all the time. So just stop doing that.
You heard it here.
I think you will see side pressure numbers probably double mine in 10 years. Levon's probably up into the upper 200s, 300 now. I think you'll see that, just like all other weightlifting, but I bet you'll see 200 and 300 pound side pressure numbers fairly common in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, fair enough. And Derek, how about you? Obviously you have some height advantages, leverage advantages, but in terms of strength, were you always gifted, or is that something you had to work super hard to overcome?
No, I just had a long arm. And the wins I did get randomly, because of my long arms.
That's it.
No. And Todd, you say you're short for your weight class. The weight class you choose to pull in, but your weight class, you're not short. You actually go to your weight class.
Well, I'm saying if you look at people that are under 6 foot tall, they're usually 185.
Right.
I mean, I started pulling 6 foot tall people at in the mid to 180s, so
maybe not North America. We got a bunch of fatties in North America, but in other countries. Yeah.
Right. So, if you're under 6 foot tall, you should probably be under 200 pounds for arm wrestling. And if you're under 6'4", 6'5", you should probably be 240 ish or less,
Okay. Well, a little sidebar real quick though. One of my goals a long time ago, when you first started talking about, when I started watching you arm wrestle and really studying the way you pull and stuff like that, and I would hear you talk about how you always run out of pad, and if your arm was just longer, and I was like, man, what if I just turn myself into Todd Hutchings, but with my length and my hand size? But if I was willing to go in and forward and chase, I can chase anybody to the ends of the earth. I can follow them as far as they want to go. But if I actually arm wrestled in your style, but with my build, I wonder how it could be. But I don't know. I guess I never dedicated fully to the side pressure, the methods.
Yeah, because it's with people like Matt Mask and Devin. I mean, it's really hard for me to pull those guys because I'm at the very back of my pad. My peg holding arm is straight. I just run out of being able to go backwards, and they're still at 30 degrees. They're still 4 inches above the pad. So it just changes things a little bit at that. But then again, those tall people aren't used to pulling short folks either. So there's probably a disadvantage either way.
Right.
Yeah, but I'd rather have their disadvantages than mine if I had to choose.
Fair. Yeah, I've heard you in WAL say it's a geometry problem is really the issue, and I've heard a bunch of people say why you moved up into the supers for WAL, but I'd rather hear it from the primary source here. Was it like a, hey Todd, you're too good, get out of the middleweights, or was it like, hey, maybe you should pursue this, and you were down for it?
It was a phone call because they eliminated the middleweight class and they moved one person down and they moved a bunch of us up. But I was the only one who went up to it. And they just flat said, we can't make shows with you beating the hell out of everybody in the 195s.
Fair. All right. Well, there you have it, folks.
There you go.
All right. Just AU69 asks, would you rather drink water or Bud Light? So there it is.
I will drink water. I will never drink Bud Light.
Fair. All right. Can you still climb a rope reverse-handed? Asks Not Safe and Effective.
The last couple of times I tried, I could not. And unfortunately, we just went through storm season here. So the tree that my rope was hanging from is now laying in my backyard.
Oh, no.
So I can't even get my rope out yet till I cut the tree open. But yeah, that takes there's two disadvantages trying to climb that rope backwards. One, the rope I have now is a lot bigger than the one we had in South Carolina.
Like circumference wise, is it 2
Yeah. Yeah, it's 3 strands basically twisted together. And what we were climbing in South Carolina was a high quality rope. It was what electricians use to pull wires through conduit when they're wiring skyscrapers and stuff. So it was a braided rope. It was softer. It was a little bit smaller in diameter, but you didn't spin in circles when you climbed it. If you ever see people climb a twisted rope, they go in circles all the way up and down as that rope straightens. But a braided rope just kind of stands, it doesn't rotate. And it was a lot softer to grab, so you could actually squeeze it, where my rope was skinny. But
Yeah.
But also, when I was climbing ropes backwards, we were climbing rope 2 or 3 times a week as well. So, like anything, if you practice enough, you'll get better at it.
There you go. Yeah, Klemba turned me on to ropes. I keep it in my gym bag now, and his is a 1.5 inch circumference. I went with a 2 inch. It's night and day different. Not all ropes are created equal.
Right. Yeah, you start opening, you start changing the diameter of your handles. You'll see that even on on your practice tables. You'll see a definite weight differential between your smaller handles and your bigger ones. And it's not always smaller's better. A real small handle will lower my numbers too. There's a sweet spot like right in the middle where you can put power to it. But if the handle gets too small, you can't get any traction on it either.
Yeah, no, that's an important point and an interesting one. Derek, you do any rope stuff?
No, actually, I went to a gym that had that rope that's like a continuous loop or whatever.
Oh,
and
yeah, those are cool.
I messed with that a little bit, and the only thing I noticed from it is got my thumb. That's when I got my thumb the biggest it's ever gotten. So I'd grab the rope and I'd push my thumb in when I'd pronate it, and my thumb blew up, like doubled in size over like 2 years of doing that. That's about it.
Thumb is the new arm wrestling meta. That's all anyone ever cares about. So that's some damn good advice right there. All right. Yeah. If you think you're getting weird looks when you pull out arm wrestling handles, try pulling a rope out of your gym bag in a big public gym. That I'm waiting to get the talk about. I can't do that. But
Todd lives in his garage or his shed, so no one gives him weird looks.
Yeah. No, that's the way.
Weird looks.
Yeah. I can leave the music on and I never have to put the weights back on the rack.
There you go. There you go.
Should we hop into regular right now, or you want to keep with this?
What's that?
You want to get back into the regular stuff or start with the regular stuff?
Yeah, we'll move on to the regular stuff. We don't want to spend too much time here. Just the last one here would be, do you miss tournament pulling at all, or are you all about the super matches right now?
I think I like the super matches better. The tournament pulling would be better if they would seed the brackets, and they don't have to seed everybody. If they would just seed the top 4 people. And it doesn't have to be that complicated. You could probably survey the weight class and ask everybody, pick the top 4 people in this class. And even if some people pick themselves, you would get a consensus on who the top 4 people are. Separate them. That's fine. But, too often you get a strong bracket and a weak bracket. And if you go undefeated in your bracket, I think you can't get lower than 3rd. I think you almost get a ride into 3rd place if you go undefeated in your bracket, Yeah. Whereas the tough bracket, you've got some of your monsters crawling through that loser's bracket from the first or second round. So if they would just seed the top 4, just separate them. I don't care where they put them in the bracket. Just pull them apart. At least then when you get to your final, your final 4 is your true final 4. You didn't have the number 1 and number 2 contender meet up too early in the rounds. Also, tournament pulling just never paid what super match pulling does.
Right. Yeah.
It just never came close. I mean, except for, the random tournament that would pay $10,000 to, like when the Zloty Tour was doing it. But that would be a real tough tournament, to win.
Yeah.
It's almost it would be a real tough tournament for all of us under 200 pounds to win. Let me say that.
Yeah, especially with them laying down for each other and no one laying down for Americans.
Yeah. So, but super matches, you can pull a couple of super matches. And the thing is they're really, it's just a different style of training.
Right.
But if you can win 6 matches in a row, you'll win a tournament or you'll win a super match. It's you're not pulling a lot more in a tournament, no matter how many people are in it. You really pull the same number of matches. It's just that you could be a lot more tired by the 3rd round than your opponent, depending on how the bracket's laid out and the strategy and stuff. So I think you have to be a far better arm wrestler to pull a tournament. So, a super match, you really don't have to be that technically good if you know who your opponent's going to be 3 months out.
Yeah, you can be more of a silver bullet type. Awesome. All right, let's get into the normal Reddit stuff here. Dave Anderson asks, diameter or circumference? I may have meant diameter. I may have said circumference, but when the rope question came up, meant diameter. All right, so this is the top posts for the past week on Reddit. We'll go through some of those, and then I cherry picked a few training questions. So again, these are
Brian, let me say one thing real fast. Hey, I got you the chat. Everybody in the chat. Like I said, we're trying to stick to Reddit as much as we can. That's what it's kind of designed around Reddit and us reading the Reddit questions for Todd or any guests we have, and then going on the Reddit topics. Besides super chats, guys, we're not meaning to ignore you guys in the chat, but unless it's something special like a super chat, we're going to kind of stick to the Reddit thing. So I don't want you guys to think we're mean and ignoring you. I'm keeping an eye on the chat as I can, but that's kind of why we're not super involved in the chat like my normal live streams. So you guys know.
There you go. Yeah, we're trying to just get a raw, natural look at what Reddit's like throughout the week. It's a cool place to hang. And actually, well, look at that. We actually have our first super chat from Devin's Classy Finger asking, please ask Todd if he remembers his short beer boy from the event in Germany.
Yes, Todd? I've been to Germany a few times, but yeah, I remember you.
There you go. Awesome. All right, so these are the top posts from the past week. The James Webb Telescope has just snapped its newest picture. Does anybody know what that arm is?
Just to do one of Devin's.
Yeah, that's a meme always makes it to the top. So it's just what it is. So yeah, Devin arm looking ridiculous in a very grainy screenshot. The next most upvoted post is some exceptional reffing up north. So we have Brendan Lemon Mulvihill with a very interesting setup here. Do you guys think this kind of stuff helps twisting the shoulder, pre-pronating? I mean,
that's that Travis stuff. That's that Travis Bajent, wind up way in here, launch. Yeah. But did they say go right at this picture, or is this like before they said go?
Presumably, yeah. It looks like the ref is opening his mouth to say maybe go, but
that's crazy.
Yeah, but you don't see, if you watch a tournament for a while, it's like, and even I can even tell in the East versus West matches, because I've watched all of them, the beginners tend to come in with these way exaggerated starts with their hands coming up, where, you watch John or Prudnick or somebody, they just walk up and you put their hand out, So as you get a few more years on you, people stop setting up like that.
Yeah. Also, if you do a lot of WAF pulling, I'm sure it gets drilled in you. You can't get away with this kind of stuff at certain events.
But to me, it looks like they're attaching the strap. It looks like he's trying to get the strap down where he wants,
Could be. I mean, I would assume they're making this post because they said go right after this. Otherwise, there's no point. But who knows?
Did you see this match, Todd? Do you watch a lot of arm wrestling? Like, no, you didn't.
No, I watch people I'm going to arm wrestle. I don't watch a lot of arm wrestling in general. But even the East versus West, I don't know when the rules change that you're not allowed to touch the strap when they're putting it on you. You know, it's like they don't touch my strap. And I go, dude, it's not your strap.
Unless
you
you're
shouldn't
Devin.
even know who the refs are. You know?
Unless you're Devin, then you can do whatever you want. But yeah, everybody else.
Well, the refs do have an outsized influence on the results of our sport.
All right. Next up, Paul Lynn training down pressure with a sledgehammer. Do you guys ever do this?
I've seen this before, but I've never seen anybody cup it in or use wrist flexion as they do it before. That's new.
Is that strapped to his hand?
No, he has a wrist wrap on, but so it's like it's ulnar deviation with some wrist flexion at the top.
Yep, he had it. He had the wrist strapped in, I think, on the right hand.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, it came undone right when he let go.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, so he strapped himself like a deadlift to the sledgehammer.
Oh wait, am I seeing it? Oh no, is it dangling by his leg right there? I can't see. It's so dark. Oh, it might. No, I don't think it is strapped. I think he's just holding on to it.
Either way, do you guys do sledgehammer stuff? What do you think of this?
I don't. Sledgehammers are real popular back before we all had pulley machines. So almost all of my arm wrestling training is done on an arm wrestling table. You know? Whoa,
that's crazy. I think it's I've done my sledgehammer work, but I don't really do it that much anymore. I think there's angles and weird things where it can tax your riser and things like that. But is the most efficient way? I'm not sure. I think it feels a little sloppy, and it's hard to measure as well. So
yeah, it is. It's hard to. I mean, I had a tape measure like not a tape, a sledgehammer like Chafee's with a bunch of weight on it. Then I took tape and I put it at different distances so I could write down where I was gripping the hammer for how many reps. But my God, we've got, an unlimited number of handles now, and they've got pulley machines, and they've got 4 or 5 different families of pulley machines. So a lot of this old school stuff, yeah, it'll fade away, I think.
Yeah.
Unless you're showing off. I mean, when you can grab it and touch your nose with it, that will always be cool.
True. Until you fail the lift, then it's not as cool.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that it's basically an entire weight stack in your hand, right? The further out you hold it, you can change it from nothing to like Levon level strength. So that's convenient. But
the weight progression changes so radically,
right?
Like as you go over center, you can get it swinging, and then it, So the force curve is very steep on anything with a lever that big.
Oh, such an engineer. Jeez.
Yeah, the force curve is very steep with the lever. That's why we got you here, Todd. Awesome. Speaking of unconventional training, this gentleman is doing some pronation work with a bag of cat food. I don't know if you guys have pets, but those things are heavy as hell. This is 20 kilos, like 45 pounds. And I don't know, it got me thinking. I'm trying to think how I can work this into a question. Do you guys do anything just super unorthodox, like pronation curls with a bag of cat food?
Not with that, but what I used to do with my wall hammers or even with chains and stuff was what Westside Barbell would do with sleds. And something like that, you could drag chains and pronate them and walk, get some cardio and just get a lot of volume on it. But like I said, man, the world's got multi-spinners now.
We're beyond cat food.
Yeah, we're fancy in arm wrestling now. We're fancy now.
Yeah.
True. Awesome. All right, next up we got, where is it? So we got this post. Devin is now pulling against Matt Mask using 2 hands.
Matt's not trying as hard as he can. You can see the way his elbow's moving around. He's not giving you'd see his elbow sliding back if he was pulling as hard as he could. He's just holding Devin, getting Devin work. I don't believe he's giving everything.
Is that a valid training strategy though? If there's a significant strength gap, like would you do that with your teammates there, Derek?
Oh, I do. Yeah, all guys use 2 hands depending on like the practice and what I'm trying to target. But yeah, I mean, it depends who's there and things like that, and the type of work I'm getting in for me.
And Todd, how about you? Do you do this when you go to table practice?
When people use 2 hands on me, I don't like it so much. It's too overwhelming. But I mean, you can do what John does and sacrifice your grip a little bit, move your grip way down. We all have rubber bands now. Put the band on the weak guy, bring it around, put it in your hand. I mean, that's how we train all our women now. So that allows the women to pull against the men in practice. We can put, I think, a green and a purple band. I'll have to go back and check the tape. Will allow our female Christina to beat just about every man on our team, you know, and it forces her to regrip and stay in position. And you know, and it lets the men surge and hit and move around on them. The only thing, when Devin started this style of training, I don't like the tactic he's taking, where he's stalling folks right there, kind of on his losing side. But I'm impressed with his commitment to develop, you know, the Death Star. He's going to develop one super weapon, you know, and he's going to fully commit to it. And Devin's something special, and that move of his is really, really good. Unless you have a bigger Death Star, you know, and you mow through it. I wish he would just keep his form. You know, I wish his shoulder would be a little bit more towards his hand, and I wish he would put the brakes on people at 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock, depending where you're looking, instead of down there at 2:30.
Yeah.
But you know, but that looks like, you know, the King's move was very, very effective for a super long time. This might be the next big thing.
Yeah, that seems like it. Yeah, I do see newer people trying it at practice, right? And so, which is concerning, but you know, they see Devin do it, they want to try.
The last tournament I went to, I saw three Kings moves in the amateur classes.
Jesus, that is terrifying.
I'm telling you guys, shoulder presses and Kings moves are on their way. They are flourishing right now. Because it's just all the way in or all the way out. People are realizing, like, those fringe movements on the limits of what you can do are fast, they're energy efficient in general, like leaning, just resting on your arm, things like that. It's becoming the norm, the meta.
Yeah. Solaroon and I had a similar conversation. That's people are seeing Jerry do it, they're seeing Devin do it. They're like, this is the way. Which we got to keep an eye on that. As these more experienced people, we got to make sure they train safe. So here's an interesting poll posted by Josh Plays Ultimate. He says, Matt Mask versus Chance Shaw, best of 5, right-handed. Who wins? And is it easy or is it a war?
I think Chance wins that.
Interesting.
You think? In my brain, I see Chance being underneath Matt, like similar angles, but Matt just being higher. And when they hit that corkscrew motion, low hand versus low hand, I see Matt being on top.
When I pulled Chance in Florida years ago, and I was able to grab a hold of his hand and hold him in center. Now it was practice, but in practice, I don't go first and I don't hit. When I pulled him in a match, his hand had gotten bigger and stronger, and I don't think I could beat Chance if I wasn't in the strap. Matt is very kinetic, but he's not quite as fast and explosive as he was 5-6 years ago. And Chance has got that big, strong hand where, you know, Chance can give up a little bit. I think Matt has problems with Chance's hand. Now, I think if it goes into the strap, I think the odds go to Chance, you know, from just a little over 50-50 to something like 80-20 or something. I don't think Matt can whip Chance over in the straps, you know.
Well, you've had matches in both. I have not, so I'll take your word for it for sure.
All right, so we'll say Chance wins easily. Let's see if the community agrees with you here. Oh, okay. It's pretty much split between Matt wins easily, Chance wins easily, and Matt wins in a war. So it sounds like Matt with the slight edge there on the community side.
Now, Matt was a harder opponent for me than Chance was, but I don't have the tools Chance does to pull Matt. Right. So yeah. I think Chance wins that.
Fair enough. There you go. Next up, if we can get this to load, there we go. The post is by user Odd Drink 5200. He says, I've seen Ermies doing back pressure lifts from the same angle. Is this beneficial? So we got a little video here to watch. So he's on a table. He's got what looks like just a loop strap. Nothing fancy here between the thumb and index finger, and back we go. So the angle is down almost at 45 degrees.
I think he's within his shoulders. I think it's like this. I don't think it's on the outside. I think he's kind of inside his body as he's doing it as well.
Yeah.
The left side of his face.
Coming in. Yep. Good catch there.
Yeah. You need to train a lot of angles, and Westside Barbell preaches this. They call it the conjugate method. I just really wish people would stop putting their hands in loops and just grab it like a bottle. You know, if you're training where you're not going to hold on, then you're slipping. You know, and you'll see that when you pull top rollers who don't hold on in practice and they feel devastating versus a top roller like John or Devin who can clamp onto your hand. All right. If you got the ability to close your hand and pull that same lift, right, your arm wrestling ability is way higher. But as far as the angle and the motion goes, yeah, do it. But, you know, do it on speed day for 8 or 9 weeks, or do it once a week or once every 12 weeks on a max effort day. But, you know, you can't do it like jogging where you're going to go do it 2 or 3 times a week and think you'll plateau if you do any exercise too long.
Yeah. Derek, speaking of bringing your elbow in, I saw you doing those single arm like flies on that cable machine. How are those working for you?
I'm just messing around with ways to bring my humerus bone across my center line and be more efficient while working with it within here, right? Because like, you know, your pec major, right, controls your ability, or your pec minor, sorry, controls your ability to have adduction of your elbow or slide your humerus across center. So the cable crossovers allow you to really get everything in there. So I'm trying to work with my elbow across my center line as much as I can, and then working internal rotation within there just to get used to having my full chest engaged. But, you know, it's just the muscles. I'm just trying to work the muscles. Still got to work the elbow. Still got to work the hand and wrist and stuff to convey that power. I'm just trying to get the pec muscles built up. And I feel like it isolates it a little bit.
Sweet. All right. Next up, we have another poll: Larry Wheels versus Mike Aiello. What do you guys think about this match?
Well,
Mike's on
his way back. I mean, we just had Mike on here last week, and he's on his way back right now. But right now, I think Larry destroys Mike.
Yeah, I assume healthy Mike. Let's maybe Mike before surgery, or I don't know. We need a little more detail.
I can't remember the last time I seen Mike pull. I pulled him years ago. You know, I mean, I practiced with him years ago, and I don't think has he pulled since the WAL disappeared?
He had a match with bench press Eric Spoto. He had a match with Eric Spoto, and he beat Eric Spoto. And this was that was the last time that Mike pulled.
Well, that's a big dude to beat. Good job, Mike.
Have you ever pulled Eric Spoto? Did you ever go?
No, I've never even met him. I mean, he was out west when I was out west, but I've never actually met him.
When he's on tape, he's such a force, dude. He's so big and strong. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, you know what? Now that you mentioned that, but that match was a long time ago.
Yeah. It was a while ago.
Yeah, that was because I was interested in Eric's. It's named Spoto. I guess if I'm pronouncing it wrong all this time, but yeah, I remember seeing that because I could gauge myself against Aiello, so I was curious as to what Eric would do. But no, that was a good job for Mike.
Yeah, I would think Larry's doing this high knuckle top roll right now. His thing right now is high knuckles and posting really hard back. That's his move right now. With Mike though, and that chopping, I feel like this is a little better option as a top roller. And Larry's not really low handing at all. It's really high knuckles, which I think might allow Mike to really get into his move. I don't know if Larry can just bicep catch Mike Aiello, a healthy Mike. I don't know. So form-wise, I think I give the favor to Mike, but it would just be on strength. Can Larry bicep curl Mike Aiello, basically?
Yeah, fair. Next up, we have a question from user KTM, bro. He says, which lift is the best indicator of someone's arm wrestling capability? He says, I'm just trying to find a good benchmark to give me an idea of where I'm at, since I can't arm wrestle much often against my friends abroad. Feel free to post your lift also. So I think we all have a similar take on this, on just picking one lift. But I guess if you had to, what's your go-to lift to gauge somebody?
This is all Todd, man. Again, because I know he has a great answer for this.
Okay.
So, well, it would certainly be either your wrist wrench or your multi-spinner from going corner to corner. You know, whether you're a top roller or a hooker, I guess I'd want to know. But to be honest, if you could take a multi-spinner corner to corner, anything over 100 pounds is legit. And if you're up into the 120s or so, you're, because if you can do that multi-spinner in the pronation grip, that builds your cupping. That'll make your hook a lot better too. So now that we have multi-spinners, we almost don't need wrist wrenches. But that's what I'd tell them to do. But max out on it once every 12 weeks. Do not max on it 2 or 3 weeks in a row. Your numbers will go down and you will cry and you will text me on how to get stronger.
And when you say corner to corner, you mean so it's like on a pulley system on the corner of a table and bring it all the way over to you?
Yeah, well, I don't like those pulley systems that attach to the table for various reasons, but if your pulley system's on a wall, you can spin the table to where you pull pad to pad, peg to peg, or corner to corner.
Right. Okay.
There we go. All right, next up we got I've had pain in my left elbow for the last 2 weeks while I was arm wrestling someone who was weaker than me. I was just holding them, and then I heard a click or a pop in my elbow. Am I just being a pussy, or is my elbow broke or something? So yeah, I guess secret techniques for healing. He's been in pain for 2 weeks. You guys got any hidden tips?
We just call that popping your elbow. I don't know what it actually is. All arm wrestlers I know just say, "Oh, you popped your elbow?" Yeah, and that's usually like a 4 to 5 month thing, and then you can't really go sideways for a little bit, supinated, and then it kind of heals up, and then you're good to go. That's in my experience, that's how we always referred to it. I don't know what's really going on. Todd, hopefully Todd knows. He's smarter than me.
Any arm wrestler complaining about elbow pain is not doing their JM presses.
Ooh,
okay,
busted.
So your JM presses will prevent elbow pain. Once you have it, it will rehab it, and it will prevent it from coming back. You have to do your JM presses. Those pops, I've always thought it was tendons bouncing over the bone. You know, it's like when you pluck a guitar string because your tendons are tight. And then if that tendon, because I hear it in my hands a lot, if that tendon moves over a bump in the bone or something, you hear that noise. But yeah, all beginners have pain, and if it's bad for a few weeks, weak things break. Okay. And if you're weak for 2 or 3 weeks, something broke. I don't know what it is, but you got to do your JM presses. And screwing around first, you shouldn't be holding a weaker person in practice anyways. That's not doing him any good. I hate it when guys grab a woman and they just hold them standing. They go, "Well, I'm making her work." Well, bitch, if I had grabbed a hold of you and made you work, you're not going to get better. You're just going to get tired and disgruntled. So put the rubber band on you and it's to where you have to go full blast against your weaker people. You will chase your beginners out of your club if you toy around with them like that. But do your JM presses, do your kettlebell swings, do your abs standing up, crunching down. All of that will rehab your elbow.
Yeah. If you just YouTube how to JM press, the man himself gives you a tutorial. It's not that hard to learn. So
it's not, and they're awesome.
There you go. This was shared by user Jimmy DJ. He says, does anybody know what this equipment is called? I'll try to zoom in here so you guys can see it. It's basically like a bike handle where you can only go sideways. So I guess you're a guy to...
It's an arcade game.
Yeah, it's one of those things with the...
They have tournaments for it. It's called like Monster Arm Wrestling. I think they
Right. I knew it had a name. Yeah.
And you go around, there's real tournaments for it. I mean, I guess it's just straight shoulder commitment. And I think Todd would be amazing. I feel like no one would be able to beat him.
Well, only if that handle will come down, because it looks like Simplinkov's arm's pretty straight up and down.
Yeah, he has to cup down on it.
Yeah. So that's probably it's probably too tall for me.
Okay. Do you think there's value in using this, or is it just asking to get injured for new guys?
Every arm wrestling machine that before we all had pulleys, people were making homemade arm wrestling machines. It's usually a big pulley or a cable. Every one of them hurt my arm. Nothing in your body moves in a straight line. So do not use equipment that moves in a straight line, especially you people that are squatting or benching on a Smith machine. That will hurt you. Okay. Stay away from those linear weight machines and do something that allows the weight to go in an arc.
There you go. Just wanted to, this is just to jog the memory here. RVJ, you've had plenty of experience with RVJ. Todd, any thoughts on the upcoming match?
RVJ's pulling Jerry Cataret?
No, this is a clip that someone shared. It was just to remind me to bring up RVJ, and because
I will make a prediction on that
one. They have been training together, but I don't think it's a sanctioned match. But
yeah.
RVJ and Zarab.
Where's your head at? RVJ's pulling Sasho.
No, Zarab. He's pulling Zarab.
Paul Lynn's pulling Sasho. RVJ is pulling Zarab.
I think Todd froze.
Oh
no. Unless he's just really mad.
Yeah, we have. Okay, he's pulling Sasho. He's pulling Sasho.
Or he froze. I'm not sure.
All right, we got a freeze on Todd here. We'll move on. Wait for him to come back. This was shared by.
There he is. He's back. Man.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah,
Todd, what's the last thing you heard?
Hold on just a second. What's up?
I was just going to say this change traffic. It's a little bit overwhelmed.
Oh, she's really angry.
Well, I know, but I want it to go through a bottleneck to slow everything down. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. That's exactly what I want.
Todd's the boss, man. He can have a mustache.
So I don't know what you last heard, but RVJ and Zarab, do you have any thoughts on how that's going to go?
I would have picked RVJ. I picked RVJ to beat Sasho a couple of years ago. That was the last time I pulled RVJ, and I was legit serious about it because I'd pulled both of them. This might be the second time RVJ's left the country again, right? And I think Zarab would beat Sasha. I think Zarab's a bigger hurdle than Sasha would be.
Wow.
But RVJ's smarter now. Now he knows what he's up against, right? And hopefully he knows how to except I don't think Zarab would be as quick as Sasha. So that might allow RVJ to get where he needs to be. And he's got the John Brzezinski Zarab video to train from, right?
Right. There's plenty of Zarab footage.
Yeah. And RVJ is going to feel to Zarab like John did. So RVJ could almost mimic that and just come in with a little more endurance. But
who you
that's a harder one. That's a harder. Zarab will be harder than Sasha was.
You got to put your money on one. Who you putting your money on that match?
I'm gonna go for the USA.
So it's a solid bet.
Okay. Well, speaking of Sasha, how about Paul Lynn? Paul Lynn versus Sasha. Who would you get there?
I think Paul Lynn can beat Sasha fairly easily.
Whoa, bold.
Paul Lynn's supposed to be here in 3 days. I think he's coming down Saturday to train with me.
Sweet.
Unless Sasha turned into some wicked crazy monster, I think Paul Lynn will beat Sasha fairly easily.
I think Paul has a lot of options, man. He's a very versatile arm wrestler. I mean, maybe Sasha in one or two ways might have an edge on Paul, but Paul in a lot
Sasha's gonna hook, Paul Lynn's gonna hook. That's just, I mean, and somebody will probably lose that 5-0 or 3-0, whatever the score is.
Paul can pull up and sideways. Paul's a pretty versatile arm wrestler. He can top roll.
Yeah, but Sasha's pretty wicked fast. I think if Paul's top rolling, he's probably top rolling like John does from the losing position.
All right, we have a post here. Alexei Vovoda is back, and he's looking ridiculous. He's got a match with John Brzezinski at East First West 9 in October. After you, though. What's your experience with Vovoda, or any dots to be connected there?
I've never met Vovoda. I mean, he was at some tournaments I was at, but he wasn't competing. He was the MC or the commentator, but I've never met him, never talked to him, never shook his hand.
Okay.
But, I was introduced to him through the Pullin' John movie like everybody else was. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, he looks in shape. I mean, some sloppy curls, but hey, still takes some strength. Any thoughts on your match with John? How's the hand, first of all? You healing up?
Yeah, it's almost there. It's back to normal size.
Okay.
The swelling seems to be all gone. I can't see the bones or the tendons in the back of it like I can on my right. But I think maybe there's something residual in there, but for the most part, the swelling's gone. I've been training for a few weeks. I've been practicing for a few weeks.
Okay. And obviously you think you're gonna win, I assume, against. But
but I got a very narrow window to jump through.
Yeah.
Well, do you think this match looks a lot like your and John's traditional match? I mean, like
No,
John kind of.
I think it's going to look a lot like John and Paul Lynn's and John and Zurab's. I'm basing my strategy on how Paul Lynn and both those guys lost to John, but I think I got more options in those positions than what they did. I'm not going to do what Irakli did. There ain't no way I'm pressing from like that.
Yeah.
But I like how Zurab got jammed up. I like how Paul made John pull with his hand. But of course, John was just starting out there, and he's pulled a lot more because Paul Lynn was only like a second or third match off the couch. Yeah, I'm going to run away from his hand. I'll just tell you that right now. I don't want to contest that hand.
Well, that's a pretty exciting match. I mean, everybody's talking about that. Everybody's really excited to see you and John go back at it again. It's been a while, so that's gonna be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, can't wait. All right, next up, we kind of talked about this, but I think this is a little bit different. User Robert Nunez 63 says wrist bone popping when pronating. It's been months since my wrist bone from both hands started popping during pronation training, and it's still popping. However, I feel no pain. Should I let it rest for some time? And I think everyone knows an arm wrestler like Norm Devio's arm pops all the time in every way, but doesn't hurt. So nothing to worry about, or what do you guys think?
I think that man is over 45 years old. Because I don't hear that in younger arm wrestlers, but I hear it in older ones.
Okay.
Yeah,
nothing to worry about. Do you have any popping, Todd?
Yeah, my wrists do it all the time.
Yeah.
And they didn't used to. So
okay. Is that the
like
tendon sliding you were talking about?
I think it's just the tendons and stuff moving over. I either read an article or watched a video or something where they're saying football was so dangerous to young boys because when they're getting hit all the time, their bones aren't fully formed and they're very smooth, so the tendons aren't attached real well. As you get older, your bones grow knobs and notches and stuff on them, which allows those tendons to really bite into it. Well, if those tendons are sliding over that bone that's not smooth, I think it just makes noise.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard that. All right.
How about you, Derek? Everything staying tight there, or do you have those popping issues?
When I do like my heavy grippers, the only cracking I'll do is when I do heavy grippers, the very first time I close it, my right in here be like pop, pop, pop. It hands up. But other than that, my arm, when I'm wrestling, no cracks or nothing.
Oh, if you're still doing grippers, there's no way you're ever beating me.
Oh, I'm just doing it for fun. I just do it for fun. It's not, I'm not actually putting like effort into it. I do it on my stream. I can close at 3.5, Tom.
Oh, I bet you can grab a sledgehammer and pronate it backwards a bunch of times.
I can do all kinds of cool stuff. I'm not relying on it. I'm just saying I got it. I got it in the toolbox.
Do you have one of those machines where you like squeeze the two pipes?
No, but I would buy one if I could. I don't have it, but I would use it.
Oh no! Somewhere Jim Fitzsimmons is very upset with you, Mr. Hutchings. He loves that double overhand grip machine.
Yeah. Every arm wrestler's house I've ever been to, there's a graveyard of equipment like that.
Yeah. All right.
It's just a fun thing on stream. People like to see me try to close heavy grippers, so I do it on camera. Right?
Well, you like them upside down too, Derek. I do those now.
Yeah, I do both.
Yeah, do both.
I got a rice bucket right here next to me too, Todd. I'm working on
you know what? That is something. That's an old school thing that I brought back. I got a 48 quart cooler filled with rice, so I can do two hands at once.
See, there you go. I got a little bit of Todd Hutchings right here. Right?
Yeah, I'm doing that 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay. What do you guys do in those buckets? Everything, flexion, pronation, radial ulnar deviation, the whole 9 yards, or do you have a very specific protocol you do?
I'm just trying to keep it moving the whole time.
Just everything, just twist and turn, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. It blows up my thumb. So I am actively trying to get this outside of my thumb thicker right here. So it's harder for people to hold on to me. And so I do a lot of thumb drive, like up to the top of my index finger towards this knuckle. And this thing blows up like bigger than I can possibly.
Really?
Imagine. So I do a lot of that, but then I'll switch pronation or supination while I'm doing it. Kind of. But I always do that thumb drive and get that thing big.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Sweet. Okay. We have another poll here. Who from the following list is the best 100 kg puller? So we have, and they're all in their prime. So prime Taras Ivakin, prime Arsen Liliev, Kidergali Angarbayev, who just is in his prime right now, and probably same for Irakli. So Taras, Arsen, Kidergali, or Irakli. Who you guys got?
Todd knows the other. He probably knows the other guys better than me.
I'd say Arsen.
Arsen. Interesting. Okay.
I'd say Arsen's number one, and Taras and Angarbayev and Irakli are all. I think actually Arsen's easily at the top.
Yeah.
Taras and Kurgali are second tier. I don't know which one. And Irakli's just trying to get into that second tier at this point.
Because I can't imagine a prime Arsen not destroying all three of them.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. I mean,
not that they're not amazing.
I think Arsen could pull. You could put all four of those guys in a bracket, and Arsen would still win that tournament.
Yeah.
Kidder Galley's taking it right now, though, significantly in the lead. I hear rumors Arsen's coming back. Do you guys have any info on that?
I've seen random pictures of him sitting in crowds and stuff. I haven't seen anything about him lifting or nothing like that.
I want to say it was Neil or someone. Someone shared a picture of him and like a teaser, like he's training again. I don't know.
I thought Engen made a comment or was interviewing him saying he's coming back.
Okay.
And to be fair to Angarbayev, it's completely unfair to compare a current competing athlete to some guy in his prime because nobody actually knows. Arm wrestling is harder today than it was when Arsen was in his prime.
Yeah.
All right. The sport is getting harder. The heavyweight class is so much tougher than it was back then. You know, there's so much depth to it. The 100-kilogram class has a lot more depth to it. So it's not real fair to compare. If Prime Arsen was pulling today, Angarbayev would also be better because they would have met each other a couple of times. So
wait, but Arsen wasn't 100 kg when he was at his prime, though. He was heavier than that, right?
I pulled him several times, and I was always about 200, 220.
I just feel like I don't know the picture.
He started little though. He started at like 150 and then went up to like 300 pounds in like 2 seasons.
He was in there at some point. I met him when he pulled Lupke's. I was in Vegas. I met him there. But yeah, he's stocky. He was a stocky dude.
No, somebody put a lot of funny memes together of like Arsen at 16 and Arsen at like 20, and they're like 100 pounds different.
Dude, that's crazy.
There's a lot of pullers you can do that with.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hermes is one. Hermes was real scrawny when he started.
Yeah.
The big boy now.
Irakli too used to pull 70 kilograms. He still has a smaller frame, but I mean, from 70 kilograms now he's pulling what, 105? Yeah, that's no joke.
I think Trudnik started out in the real small class too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not real small, not like 60 kilograms, but like 80 or so.
I have, and we'll never know this, but I do want to bring this up. I know we're trying to stay on topic here, but I have this building idea, and we'll never know the truth, but tell me what you think about this idea. When people ask me, because obviously they ask all the time, I don't want to go too deep into the steroid topic, but I think Angarbayev might be the best. I think he's natural. When they announced top 8 and everybody gained 70 pounds of muscle, when they had that 6 month break, and then he showed up the same weight as before, like there was nothing different at all. And he's still amazing. I swear. I think he might be the number one guy, in my opinion. That's 100% natty, in my opinion. What
he might be. His style wouldn't benefit from a lot of bulk anyway. Actually, if he gained a bunch of weight and made his hand thicker, it would probably hurt him because it would hurt his grip.
Right.
So, there are certain styles like where you really don't want to put a lot of weight on yourself if that's your style.
Yeah.
He's amazing, man. He's amazing. And every time he goes back to his country, he gets a new thing, like a car, apartment. He's a politician now. They gave him office. He holds office in Kazakhstan. He's amazing. This guy's a celebrity.
Speaking of the top 8 and gaining mass, I think Dmitry Trubin's probably one of the most extreme examples. You wouldn't even recognize him. Like, I do a trivia show and I asked, who is this old fashioned? I took an old picture from him from like 2015, and like no one even knew who it was, and it's amazing. All right, so let's move on.
Well, just one more. I've pulled Michael Todd in 2 events. The first one, we weighed 196 pounds, 198 pounds.
Yep. So
dreaded.
All right, we have time for maybe one more question. User Arm Wrestling is fun. Arm Wrestling Future. Sorry, we have another username that. Small training question. If I can rise with riser, let's say 20 to 22 kilograms from the ground with my arm parallel to the ground with a strap put like Devin through hand and over knuckle / index finger, I improve the numbers to say 30 to 35 kilograms, like a 50% improvement without losing my rise and staying parallel or even slightly downward angle to the ground. My wrist doesn't buckle. Will it be felt on the table without table time, or is it useless if I don't get on the table? So maybe don't worry about the numbers so much, but rather those last two questions. Is it almost useless to just build up numbers in the gym if you aren't getting on the table? Or basically, how important is connective tissue, I guess?
Well, you have to practice sometimes, because lifting a weight off the floor doesn't feel anything like an arm wrestler who might push or pull or, and go back and forth and smash and climb on your fingers and everything else. I seriously don't like these lifts where you wrap the strap all the way around your hand and you can relax your fingers, right? I like the way Levon does that lift, where he grabs the towel like it's a bottle and lifts it. All right. That will be felt on the table. Okay. That will be felt for sure, because now you are connecting everything from your hand up to your back in the lift. But with that said, all strength is important. Train all of these different vectors. Just don't train them on consecutive days or weeks. You gotta, train this 1 week and then don't come back to it for a couple of weeks. You gotta get some variety in your training, especially in arm wrestling. We're not bench pressing where the weight's always going to travel in one line. You have to be able to adapt, So,
do you think the emphasis switches as you get more experience to where you can start focusing less on table time, more on weights, or is it just practice once a week, the rest weights forever?
No, I absolutely swear by the fact that if you're a beginner, you should probably be on the table 2 or 3 times a week. Wow. And after about 5 or 6 years, you could probably train every couple of weeks. When the WAL was doing super matches, I was on the table if I had 4 matches a year, I was on the practice table 4 times a year. Okay, so.
And Derek, you're obviously at a very high level now. How much table time did you put in early on versus now? I know you have the Lachlan effect, as I call it, where you're just too strong and you can't even get good practices anymore with the people around you. But what was your
It depends on the quality of table time. Like, not all table time is created equal, in my opinion. Like, depends on who's there and what we're actually working on. So if I go practice with Todd Hutchings, then I'm probably going to be pulling every 2 or 3 weeks, maybe. If we're actually getting good work in. If I'm with my guys, we're using bands and things like that and trying to find inventive ways to tear me down, then I can be on the table more often. And so, Devin said a bunch of times too. It's like he told me, he's like, you're too strong to train with, because at a certain point, it's just like the odds of injury and stuff, and the amount of power going through too strong of a training partner can be hold you back. And then, so guys like Alex Gradetcha, I was talking to, he told me he does he does table time at 10% only. And he doesn't actually arm wrestle 100% besides when he's at a tournament or in a super match. Other than that, it is 100% prioritizing gym time over everything. He just gets on the table to kind of work on some motions. And that's it. That's what he's telling me when I was in Texas with him. So I know there's a lot of conflicting views on it. Obviously, Devin's a big fan of table time. John traditionally always promoted table time. And there's some guys that do damn near 0 table time. But I think it depends on their style, depends on the type of table time they're getting. John was training with world champions. John was training with Todd Hutchings. John was training with Kevin Bongard and Bob Brown, and all these always had amazing training partners. So his table time was the best table time you could possibly get at all times, with peak resistance, with super knowledgeable guys, compared to if you're training with your friends from down the street. It's not the same thing. And so I just think that has to be considered when thinking about table time. But yeah, I mean, for me right now, currently, I'm in the table every weekend, because I'm trying to work on some stuff for me from my Austin Jaggers match. I'm trying to build up a little more of this Todd Hutchings sideways elbow, a little more endurance in my arm, so that way I don't gas so fast. But yeah, that's just where I'm at in my career right now. But different times, it'll be different things.
Yeah,
and tournament pullers need more table time than super match pullers do, because they're going to see a variety of opponents. Where in a super match, everybody's got an A game. And then they got an A game, which is just a little bit where they try harder. Very few people have an A, B, and a C game. So, but you could pull 3 or 4 different styles in a tournament. So you need a lot more table time if you're pulling tournaments than you do if you're pulling super matches.
Okay. I got one thing that just popped in my mind. I know we're going to wrap it up right here, Todd. But you and Devin seem to have very conflicting ideas on this, holding on to things and not holding on to things. Devin is all about never holding on, straps only. Guy always hold on to you. Literally all his lifts and everything are strapped onto him. He's never even closing his hand on anything. And just hold on to me. In his idea, it's more efficient, and you're always chasing me, and I'm always up in your hand dictating, and you're always trying and you're playing second fiddle. You're always chasing me while I'm doing what I want. So what's your stance on that? Why have you not adopted that?
This is why you cannot take a champion's training routine and apply it to you. Because me and Devin are built completely different, and we have completely different experiences when we pull the same person.
Mm.
Okay. If I had a large dominant hand, all right, I could, because I need to slip out. I need to be in the straps to equalize the match. I have a very hard time slipping from somebody whose hand is significantly bigger than me.
Mm.
There ain't a whole lot of people in the world who have a hand significantly bigger than Devin's.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So you have to have, you have to develop a training routine that is focused on you. The worst thing you can do is go down a buffet and take a little bit of everybody's routine, slap it together, and think you somehow came up with the super routine.
Mm.
All right. You got to develop one for yourself.
Okay.
I don't tell people how to train. I just give them strategies and tactics, and they got to go figure out how to get it better themselves. But for most of us, we have to hold on. I cannot slip out. If I let my hand go loose and just pull backwards, anybody with a decent hand, you can look at every match where I'm trying to slip from RVJ and see what will happen if I do not have a strong hand. Boom. Okay.
Right.
Once your hand's a little stronger, you can stop that a little bit, right?
Mm.
Also, if you cannot get higher than the other guy because your arm is shorter, that limits your ability to do certain things. So, yeah, you have to train yourself. But I can tell you, but yeah, if you can guarantee you're going to get in the straps all the time, that's the way I would train. It just sucks the one time you can't get in them.
Right. Right. Okay. So yeah, tailor it for yourself and your strengths and your style. Your training. I see what you're saying.
Sweet. All right. So we are about an hour in now. So Todd, thank you so much. That was awesome, man. We got some real insights, some great answers to these questions. Looked at some memes. Yeah.
And I will drink water over transvestite any day.
There you go. Take that away. Todd, you have a YouTube channel. Everyone obviously probably knows it at this point. You have tons of subscribers, but check that out if you haven't yet. Todd puts out all kinds of stuff. Did a deep dive the other day on which side of the table is better to be on with some hard data to back it up. So check that out. Good stuff there. Obviously, check out Derek's channel. This will be on Derek's channel next week. Next Monday, we'll be back to the normal time, 6 p.m. real time, 3 p.m. Pacific. And yeah, anything else you guys want to add?
I'm having a big practice Friday or Saturday. So if you're anywhere near Ohio, come to Belpre, Ohio. I'm expecting Paul Lynn and Kenny Smith there.
Oh, Kenny Smith's a monster. Oh, yeah. No one talks about him either. He's a monster.
Right.
So.
The difference between Kenny Smith and Kenny Rogers, one became super famous in his technique, and the other one is a hack singing cover tunes of country songs. But they both dated Dolly. So
that's great. Thank you for being on here with us, Todd. As always, dude, it's my pleasure to hang out with you and talk to you. And thank you for all the times you've always given me any kind of tip I've ever asked for and always helped me out.
Keep doing those grippers before our match.
Oh, come on, yeah. It doesn't hurt. It's just fun. All right. That's it. That's it. I'm just pronating. I'm going to gobble that hand, Todd.
We got to set this up.
All right. I'll see you guys later.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks again, Todd. We'll see you next week, everyone. Take care.
Yeah, bye.